Hi class, this is Fitchhorn and I am making today's tutorial. We are going to be looking at how to make eyes a simpler way. Now, what's crazy about eyes is that they don't ever tend to appear like the eyes we draw in cartoons, right? They're very complicated, so let's go ahead and zoom in so we can kind of see what we're doing over here on Harry's eyes. Now, before we begin, you always want to make sure that you check up in your windows, your workspace, you hover over workspace and you make sure that you're in typography and you check your toolbars to make sure you're in advanced. I would make the eye layer on top of the skin layer. As you can see in my layers panel, I've got skin, stubble, shadows and highlights, t-shirt, hair, eyebrows, all that up. So I'm on the eyes layer now, and then I'm going to go ahead and move these eyes, which I've grouped already, off so you can see how I made them. So notice that an eye is never perfectly round shape. It tends to be, if you think about the physiological and anatomical feature of the eye is a ball, but it's behind skin lids that frame the eye that are, you know, what keep our eyes moisturized. And so what you'd want to do is make sure that you don't try to draw a circle, but instead, rather, we're going to try to draw this like football shape. And then we're going to draw over it the skin flaps that are the eyelid, and so on and so forth. To sample the color, make sure that you've got your photo layer on and unlocked, and that you have turned off your skin layer, because if you don't unview your skin layer, it's going to cause a huge issue. You're going to keep color sampling from the skin instead of from the photo background. So I'm going to unlock that. And eyeballs are generally white. You notice it's reading pink. Maybe he had too much to drink last night. I don't know. But Harry, let's clean up your eyeballs a little bit. And then what we're going to do from there is we need to make, if you know the anatomy of eyes, that there's another circle inside of it. That's your iris. And then the black part's the pupil. And then we've got the little highlight there. What I'm going to go ahead and do, since I don't want to make a whole circle, I'm just going to carefully with my pencil tool. Now be careful you don't connect the lines to the eye. We'll show you how to edit the lines later. Just kind of stay inside the white shape, because if you don't, you're going to pay consequences. It will all become one big shape. So notice I'm slightly tracing around it. And then we're going to go ahead and color that one. The color, it should come out the color green. Oh, it's picking up the white. Oh, look, it connected, if you guys can see. See, this is what you don't want to happen, where it becomes part of the shape. So I'm going to Command Z backwards, and then I'm going to try one more time. Let's go really slow and make sure that we're not overlapping or connecting eyes, or lines, excuse me. And we can clean this shape up later. How to clean up the shape is if you double click the direct selection tool, which is the white arrow at the top of your toolbar, and you double click one of these anchor points. You can drag the anchor point where you want it to go, and notice now I can attach it without it connecting. It's still its own thing. Now what you see those little black handlebars are called handles, and they edit the shape. But now I'm making the eye look more realistic by pulling some of this around to the edges. Remember to double click the anchor if you can't move it. Okay, you can use the handles to make it more round. You can move anchors around to smooth things out a little bit by left clicking and dragging on them. All right, so now I'm going to really quick move the white layer so that way I can choose the layer I just made. There it is, and use the eyedrop tool to get that pretty bluish green his eyes are. Let me undo that. Right there, I think that's a little brown, maybe there. That's a little bit brownish green. They're kind of hazel. All right, and then you can move this up back to where it was. All right, and then we need to do the pupil. This one you can use the circle tool for. It's hiding behind the rectangle tool. So I'm going to grab the ellipse tool, and if you hold the shift key, you'll get this perfectly round shape. And you can always use the direct selection tool to edit it a little bit more flat later. But for right now, let's go ahead and color this black by going to our appearance panel, and we'll have our black pupil there, right? And we're going to move it there, and then he had a little gleam in his eye, so we can either make a small circle or we can use the pencil tool to kind of like create this little like gleam in his eye. Right. There it is there. Let's make the fill white so we can see it. There's that little gleam in his eye. Now to make the eye look a little bit more realistic, I mean, the eye really technically does need a little bit more work. But again, this is where I would be, if I were you, taking the handles and really smoothing out. Really smoothing this out a little bit by using the handles. We don't have a lot of time in this tutorial video, so I'm going to show you how to do eyelids. So again, we're going to take the pencil tool, and it's hard to see because this picture is so pixelated, but we all know that we have an eyelid. Just be very careful you don't touch the eyeball for now. They're all going to become one piece. So we know everybody has an eyelid, and it's kind of flesh colored, right? And then we have this other part of our eye that we have to draw underneath. Now we can move these closer to the eye after we're done drawing them. Sorry, I'm being a slob, and this is just going really fast. You guys should definitely take more time than this. Okay, and then maybe I want to also get that little part of his eye that, you know, where our tears come from. That's the tear duct. Maybe I'll draw that as well too. Get that. Use the eyedropper for that. Okay, and then maybe now that I've got all three of these pieces combined, maybe I want to use the mover tool, and I can start moving the pieces a little bit closer together so they look more realistic. You can overlap some pieces. Look at how nice that's fitting. Then the final thing, if you watch my eyelash video, you can see you can choose to make individual eyelashes. In this case, I'm going to kind of do a cheater like block version of an eyelash by just kind of making these choppy, like one shape of an eyelash, and be careful not to touch the edges of anything else. You're gonna be in trouble. Okay, and then we're gonna turn that black, and then you can see I'll just use the selection tool or click V on my computer for the hotkey, and then I've attached it. And so now when I zoom out, you can see that I've got one eye. Now what I'm going to show you to do is to work smarter, not harder. Is what you want to do is use the shift key, select all your components of your eye, your lashes, your lids, your pupil, your cornea, all those pieces, the little tear duct. Command G for group, Command C for copy, Command V for paste. Oops, I missed the pupil part. But look, once you copy and paste one eye and you've got all the pieces together, then all you have to do is flip it to make the other eye, and it'll be perfectly the same. So you go Object, and you go Transform, and you go Rotate. Oop, not Rotate. Reflect. Object, Transform, Reflect. Sorry. And then once you get it over to the other side, you have the same exact eye. You just have to use the little widget in the top right-hand corner, hover over the corner to rotate. And then you can put the eye where it's going to fit best. Now, some of you guys have profiles where the person's looking at different, like they've got a 3/4 profile. So sometimes you need to shorten the eye, or make, you know, you can always use your direct selection tool, the white arrow, to, you know, double click and alter any of the pieces that you need to. But that's how you work smarter and not harder. Why double make the eye when you could just make one eye and then make a copy of it and flip it over, and voila. Then you've got, oops, gotta get rid of that puppy right there. There we go. Ta-da! And there's Harry Styles. All right. Thanks, kids.